Good evening, welcome. My name is Obendako. Welcome. I want to share with you today what I call critical thinking. Critical thinking, the importance of critical thinking when it comes to finances, life challenges, and entrepreneurship, your business. The essence of critical thinking when it comes to your finances, life challenges, and entrepreneurship. Life is full of troubles. It's full of challenges. Almost every time there is one issue somewhere that is happening. Whether it's with your finances, with your relationships, with your, you know, maybe with your academics, with your health, there is some kind of issues going on every time with people. And because as humans, as we are, nobody wants trouble. Nobody wants trouble. So if I don't want trouble, then I must find a way of dealing with, this kind of pains that come, just in the course of living. And the kind of society that we have been brought up in, there is that much little appreciation for critical thinking, for situation where you have to think through a lot of things to come up with solutions, think through a lot of things to come up with your own way of handling the vicissitudes of life. And the things that normally happen, like I was reading somewhere that somebody had written an article and said that there was a time that I think Dangote or somebody was traveling, and there was a preacher somewhere who was also in haste. So he gave his seat for the preacher to go, and the preacher prayed that he will become a very successful businessman, very rich businessman. And to a lot of our people on the social media, the only attention we give to the fact we give to the whole article is that because the man prayed for that businessman, that's why the businessman became that huge. If that is true, that the businessman Dangote should not be the only person that preacher prayed for. There are a lot of people that he prayed for. Why did only Dangote become a very successful businessman? So there are things that constantly fight our ability to think critically. And one of it, major one, is the culture. The other one is our education. And the main one is the religion. And usually when you say things like that, the people who are religious, people who say they serve Christ, start to doubt your allegiance to Christ, because they start to think that now you have become an atheist. You don't believe in the power of God, and you don't think that God can do anything. But we are all here in Africa. God is here. And mosquitoes and flood and poverty and ignorance, they are all over. So we believe God is there, which I do. But if God ever wanted us to come to him for everything, then why did he give us this brain that we have? Why did he even give us his word? If you have to look up to him for everything, then why the Bible? Why the Bible? Why did he leave the Bible? I think that Jesus spent more time teaching his people than the miraculous. He taught a lot of wisdom. He gave out a lot of information, because that's the way you liberate any group of people. once information comes to people, once the right kind of information comes to people, that lifts their spirit, and that gets, you cannot free anybody without giving them the right kind of information that makes them strong. And so I think that if I look around, a lot of the times, I sometimes I become a bit sad, because I think the whole world is trying to use their brain, use technology, use hard work, use innovation, use upgrade of information, structure, planning, order, things like that to improve their lives. But Africans are still locked up in, not everybody, but the critical mass of our people are still locked up in superstition, magic. We have even used the Christianity against ourselves now. So that's why we constantly, when I was a child, I was not asking a lot of questions. But once I'm growing, I'm asking a lot of questions. That these things that when we were children, we were dealing with, we're still dealing with them. What is the issue? I can't solve it for everybody, but I think that if you can help people with a little enlightenment, that which comes to you. Anytime that I share, the first person that benefits is myself. It's not even anybody who is listening. If anybody is listening at all, if I share something, I double train myself. I get more inspiration. I try to start to look at things differently than even if any other person is listening or watching. So the best way to liberate a group of people, any kind of people, is when they start to get the right kind of information, the right kind of knowledge. And if I look at my people, I think that that is a problem at the moment. That is a problem. So when it comes to finances, when it comes to life challenges, when it comes to entrepreneurship, most people, their financial, the only strategy they have for their financial success is what? Is to pray. Is to pray. Is to pray. Is to go for anointing oil, go for prayers, go and fast, then go for some prophet to pray for them. It's so prevalent. And yet when you read the Bible, I think that's not what I see. I don't see that, especially when it comes to when Christ died and he rose up and the things that they taught in the scriptures. I think that the Africans, as usual, there's a lot of things that we have mixed with a lot of the things that we have as a people in our culture. So there is not much clarity. And if you look at our results, there are a lot of questions that we need to ask. Because if we are practicing the faith that we say we are practicing, then I am of the opinion that you should see a lot of the love, a lot of the character, a lot of the kindness, a lot of the value for human life, a lot of the wisdom of God, going through the decisions that we make, the value that we have for our people. You can see a lot of excellence in the way we do things. And the other vices would have to go down. You will see the decline in the corruption, in the hatred. You see the decline in that. If you so think that we're practicing the God, that if anybody talks about critical thinking or talks about innovation and technology as the way to improve the people, as a way to fight poverty, and not spirituality, because the ordinary understanding is that the poverty of a man is spiritual. That's what they have told us. And so there is a lot of critical thinking that we are not doing. And anytime that you start to say some of these things, then the people who have tried to preach or talked and taught these kind of ideologies start to get offended. But I am interested in just one person trying to understand that if you're doing something, whether it's your finances, whether it's your life, whether it's your business life, or life in general, and things are not going as expected, a lot of the times, look at the way you think. So what is critical thinking? Critical thinking is your ability to actually come up with facts to solve problems. Okay, come up with facts to solve problems. That is basically how it is. So how deep thinking or how thoughtful you are to look at situations and gather data and look at patterns and see that this one is true, this one is not true, this one makes sense, this one does not make sense. If everything is all right, if everything is working as it is, there's no point for anybody to come out to say that there's a need for any critical thinking. There's a need for us to look at how we've been taught and how we've been programmed as a people. But if you look at it now, I think that there is a need for us to ask a lot of questions and for us to think and look at what can be done differently. Maybe if 20 years from now, things should not go as it is. Because if you go all around the world, people are trying to use their brains, their thinking, their wisdom to develop their country, to develop their own lives, to change their families' narratives, But we spend the time on superstitions, and a large amount of it is locked up in church. So there is church everywhere around the corner, and we all want to go to heaven, and yet the very things that prove that you really believe in the Christ, which is the kindness, which is the love, which is the faith, which is the forgiveness, which is the value for human, clarity, organization, order, those things we don't see them, yet we say that we follow this master. So that's why there's a need for critical thinking. So it's a commitment to logic and reasoning in decision making, other than just superstition and just being emotional when things happen. So there is the need for us to use our mind. There is the need for us to think clearly. If your finances are not good, instead of you trying to just go and take, or let's say, the fact is, it's delicate, but I have got to say it. You see the way any boy, any girl at all starts church, and their first agenda is bring your tithe, bring your offering. It's a major thing now. Everybody, the moment they start, you cannot compromise the tithe, you cannot compromise the offering. So let's say you get 1,000 cedis a month. Constantly, they tell you that bring the 10%. So you bring 10% every month. So the whole year, you would have paid them 1,002. That's only on your tithe. Now you bring offering. There is building offering, there's church offering, there's all kind of offerings. Okay, so if you're 1,000, if you really look at it, you're 1,000. If you're very devoted as a Christian anyway, about the 1,000, about 500 is for them. Okay, it's for the church. And this guy just finished school the other day, and he's telling you that God has called him. Okay, he's never worked anywhere, he's never done anything with his life. He's just telling you that he has power to make you rich. So bring your offering, bring your tithe. That's what they tell us. And so if you buy that, then for the rest of the year, this is what you're going to give to them. And so you are being paid, let's say you're paid 1,000. They take 10%, which is 100. And then offering maybe 100. All the other things that they take from you, and the car that you take to go to church every day. All this, you put them together. I'm sure that half of your salary will be gone to them. Now you have to live on the half. And you are waiting for some supernatural power for you to get your finances right. This is not the case. The guy just finished school the other day. Now he's telling you that he has the power to make you rich. But if you don't send the tithe, if you don't send the offering, and if another person does not come to give him money, he has nothing to get money. Yet he has a lot of houses now, he has a lot of cars, and you, because your mind, the critical one, is not there, they have been able to tell us that if we do that for them, God will bless us. And so we have done that for 10 years, and we're still poor. So our finances are still in bad shape. If you don't believe what I'm saying, from January to December, just look at how much you sent to some of these organizations, churches, especially, and how much you save. And look at why you have to lie, you have to cheat, you have to do all kind of things to get something to feed your family. So it's lack of critical thinking. Because where is it that you have to bring monthly every money to them? I thought it was increase, and the salary is not really an increase, because you took the food from it, you took the transport from it, everything from it. So if we are not thinking, because that's what they are using all over Africa, especially to control us. So because people want to get better life, want to get ahead in their lives, they will do it, and they continue to do it, and the only person who gets rich is the guy who is receiving it, not you. Okay, because the way to make financial progress It's not superstitious. Then the guys who have a lot of money around the globe would be coming to the man who is saying that he has power to make you rich. Okay, the Bill Gates and Dangote and all those guys, because we are not applying critical thinking. So when it comes to life or when it comes to finances, there's a lot that they have programmed us. And when you start to question some of these things, they say that you are not a Christian. But I'm not talking to them. I'm just talking to one or two people who feel that their lives are not going anywhere and who think that there's a demon somewhere who's the reason why they are poor, who's the reason why their finances are always in trouble. There's no demon anywhere. If you use your mind well, if you sit down to look at how much comes to you and where they go, look at the first 5 items that you every month that you spend on, and look at how they go, and you see why your finances are always in trouble, or why you have to lie, why you have to cheat people in order for you to keep the lifestyle that you're keeping. So there is some kind of, because if I give you information for the last 30 years, if this is what they've been telling you all your life, all your life, this is what they've been teaching you. If another person jumps to say that, listen, look at this thing critically well, because the people who you are giving to, they are the ones that are becoming very rich and not you. And I think that if anybody is poor, you should not be talking to them every day to be bringing money. They are poor. They're already struggling with their money, and yet the poor are the ones that they're taking a lot of money from. And then, so you see, that's why you see anybody start any church anywhere. Within the next year, he has a Land Cruiser, he has a house, he has this, because everybody is bringing money to him. Now, this we must think. I'm not saying that don't give. I'm only saying that just know that if you're struggling financially, you have to know where the money is going. And whoever is teaching you how to make money, you should be able to look at how they make their money. Okay, if somebody says that he has the power to teach you how to become rich, look at how they make their money first. If they are there receiving the offering and receiving all the tithe, and that's their only strategy, I can tell you that that is not the way that you are going to be rich. So you could be there for 10 years, nothing will happen. 20 years, nothing will happen. You will always be praying and fasting and waiting for God, because there is no critical way that you are looking at the issues of your life. So critical thinking sometimes demands that you have a proof to support whatever somebody else is teaching you. They have a proof. They are telling you that they have power to make you rich. They should tell you how many billionaires that they have made rich, and how did they make rich, and how do those people get their money. You should ask questions. But our training, our culture, our religion, to a large extent has made us, they have made us not to use our mind at all. They have made us just to at least just follow and look at what anybody else is teaching. That's why people who cannot even read, write, okay, have a lot of congregation in the name of God, and it's damaging to the continent. It's damaging to our people. Okay, it's damaging, because I think that for you to go to heaven, and they use that because they think that by all means all of us will die anyway, and so they put a lot of fear in us that if you don't follow those, when you die you will not go to heaven. I thought that it's Christ who came to die. So if you believe in him, then the question of whether you're going to heaven or you're not going to heaven is not on the table at all. And as a matter of fact, if you are struggling financially and you have been taught wrongly, it's likely that you're lying somewhere, you're cheating somewhere. It's likely that your life is not pure. It's likely that you're jealous. It's likely that you're not kind at all. You're not ethical. Those are the things that they should be teaching us to get in orderly, so that we can get our lives together. No, they don't. So there's a little proof to support a lot of the things that they have taught us in terms of finance and in terms of progress. That's why a lot of these boys are not coming up with all kind of title, prophet. Every boy is a prophet now, and they all drive good cars, they live in big houses, or their wives will wear long weave on and they bleach and they all wear suit and tie and things like that. It's pathetic. And these things are contributing to our poverty as a country, as a continent. And they are everywhere. When other countries are working around the clock 24 hours, our people are spending 24 hours in church, killing demons and waiting for American visa. It's amazing. It's because the critical thinking has really gone down. And so what is your approach to new information? If you're critical in thinking, what is your approach to new information? Do you, if somebody gives you any data at all? Do you just get time to look at it, or you just say that no, 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 I don't want to hear that, it's a lie? Do you have time to analyze anything at all, even if you have not heard it before? Or you just say that no, I'm not interested in it, I'm not going to debate with you, that, like the way some people behave, I'm not going to, this is what my pastor told me, I don't want to be. It's because and you'll be 40, you'll be 50, you'll be 60, and you see that you have nothing to show, and you live a lie. When you meet them, you're very respectful, but in your room, you are insulting them because your life is frustrating. Okay, so critical thinkers are, we are aware that all of us have our own, ideas that we hold dearly to, but we're still very much open-minded to look at other people's views, because sometimes what they be telling you that you so much believe is because that's all that you've been told. Does not mean that they're true, especially when you're growing and you're not getting the right results. So when it comes to life, it's the same thing. Life is full of challenges. Life is full of troubles. The only way that you're going to handle life and handle it well is because you have better knowledge, better information, better skills of making the right decisions. That's why. So your finances, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a career, the only way that those things are going to improve is because you have better way to deal with the issues that come up. So the fact that you are meeting problems does not mean that there is any demon anywhere trying to fight you, because that's the kind of things that they have told us. So people spend a lot of time trying to look at for interpretation as to why they dreamt, what dream they had, all kind of things. And it's painful, it's pathetic, actually. It's frustrating for some of us, because you see the value of the human life and what people can do to improve their lives, yet they've been reduced to virtually the level of animals, so to say. That you can see that these people are not using their God-given tool, which is the mind. So I'm talking about critical thinking and its importance to life, to your finances, and to entrepreneurship. If you're a business person, if you're an entrepreneur, there are a lot of challenges that you're going to meet. If your mind is not strong, if you don't look at issues differently, you'll be going from one prayer camp to the other. Okay, you'll be going from one prophet to the other. And sometimes people who constantly even keep on doing these things don't even pray themselves to God. They don't even build their own relationship with God. They don't even read their own Bible. But they're looking for everybody. As if somebody had the power. God gave somebody power over you. If you're religious. So that's a challenge that we have as a people. It's a major challenge that we have. And it's going to take a while for us to really see the solutions. But as an individual, you can make your own changes. And it starts with you thinking critically. Thinking at the results. They've been telling you this thing for the last 15 years. Is it true? Is it true that what they're saying works or is not work? Because the way you judge a lot of things is the consistent results that you're getting, and the fact that they're able to produce some kind of character and credibility and trust and honesty and love in you. Okay, if they are producing frustration, they are helping you not to become a better person and keep on lying, then there is a challenge. There is a problem. Okay, so critical thinking is very much important, and yet as Africans, that is something that we've been hardly taught. We've been hardly taught how to use it. And so my name is Obindako. I am talking about critical thinking, and you have to be a person who is very much inquisitive. You have to have some kind of mind to be curious. Okay, to ask questions. Ask questions. Don't just follow things anyhow. They've been telling us not to ask questions. Ask questions. Jesus was asking questions all the time. His disciples were asking questions all the time. Ask questions, whether it's right question or wrong question. Ask questions, especially if it has to do with your own finances, if it has to do with your own life, if it has to do with your own career. Ask questions, because you are responsible for the results that you are going to get with your life. Nobody else is responsible. Nobody else is responsible. If you're moving from one mind to the other looking for magic to change your life, the best thing to change your life, with is the skill that you have acquired, the expertise that you have acquired. Because if you even won lotto today and they gave you 10 million Ghana cedis, okay, If you didn't have the expertise to handle 10 million Ghana cedis, let's give you 5 years, you'll be back on track one, because you have to have the skill to hold that blessing that you are praying for. You have to develop the expertise to hold that breakthrough that you think you're praying for. So instead of you spending a lot of time moving from one church to the other looking for breakthrough and looking for magic, spend time trying to develop yourself, develop your expertise, become better as a person. You know, what is your understanding of the finances? How do you make choices and decisions in this life? You know, the only people that they've been told everything is spiritual and demonic and satanic. Some of them even tell us that Africa is poor because it's a spiritual situation. Those are all lies. There's a little that Africa has applied in terms of mind, in terms of technology, in terms of innovation, in terms of creativity, in terms of growth. There's little because a lot of us don't give a lot of attention to see patterns, okay, in terms of thinking. So you have to have that kind of spirit to be inquisitive. Ask questions. If somebody tells you something, ask questions. It's not because when people open the Bible, we try not to think because it's the Bible, you know, but ask questions. Ask questions. If you can't ask questions, then there's no need for you to have the brain that you have at all. So the first step of thinking critically is asking questions. Asking questions. See pattern. Ask questions. You are saying is this. Is that the way it is? Or that is your own analogy? Do you think that if you are saying that you help somebody to become a millionaire, do you think that that can happen to me? And what makes you think that that can happen to me? Just because I gave you money? Just because I brought my tithe? Just because I gave you offering? Just because you pour oil on me? Those are not true. Those are not true. That's why consistently, if you see people who have followed these kind of things all their lives, they are always waiting for that breakthrough. Because they neglect the first principle, which is become better yourself, grow, develop yourself. And that requires you to be thinking. Because a lot of the people who are teaching you, they are not teaching us skill at all. They are not teaching us, they make life weird and tense. A lot of these people, I'm telling you. And much of it is around finance. And yet finance is not something that is so unique to only the fact that you are religious. A lot of people who don't believe in the existence of God even have finances, because it's a product of productivity. It's a product of right decisions. It's a product of right knowledge. It's not so much that somebody has to pour some oil on you for you to get it. So this is the kind of environment we live in. This is the kind of culture that we have been brought up in. And so when we look at our results, we should not be frustrated of the kind of results that we are getting, because that is the kind that we've been brought up in. And so after a while, after a while, when you start to grow, you have to ask questions. Are these things that they have told us, are they producing the kind of results that they said they to produce? If it's not producing the results, we have to look at them critically again. And so your financial plan is not supernatural, okay? It's one bit by bit. The rare essence of Christianity is love, is faith, is wisdom, is kindness, is value for human life, is respect for others, is being honest. You know, so if people are not practicing these things and they say that they serve Christ, there's question. We have to have, and then looking at the number of our people who serve God, there should be that kind of credibility in our environment, and yet that is that much low, because people are not thinking, people are not asking questions, and so people just go praying that God will make their lives better. And if people meet any little challenge at all, they attribute them to demons, you know, and most of them are not true, because life is full of challenges. The man that you are running to for him to pray for you, he also has his own challenges. You know, so I think that a lot of it is lack of exposure, lack of knowledge, and because there is prevalence of, you know, frustrations of, you know, lack of funds, people are poor, people are desperate, people want to get better, and so that has become, let's say, an advantage for people. You know, that's why when you go, because let's face it, if you go to any gathering at all, there will be somebody who's looking for visa, who's looking for husband, who's looking for job, who's looking for money. And these are the things that they start to tell us. So if you're critical in thinking, you would want to spend your life trying to become better. Because anybody who Listen, if you have constant financial problems and you start to sit down and solve it yourself, there's a lot that you can overcome than trying to. Some of them even take money before you see them. This is where Africa has become. So look at how the people that you are looking up to who say that they can make you financially successful, how they make their money. Look at that, because some of them, almost all of them, it's just free money that they are getting. Okay, so it's not so much God who has given them. They just have an avenue of collecting money from a lot of people, and a lot of them are poor people even. So critical thinking is that much important. It's that much important. When anybody is telling you anything, ask questions. Ask for evidence of what they are doing. Is it true? Because it's your life, and you have one life to live. Okay, one life that we all have to live. It's not going to be twice. So if you spent the last 20 years of your life trying to believe these things, now you have another maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 years. If you want your life to become better, take responsibility. Ask questions. Take responsibility of your finances. Take responsibility of your life largely, and look at how you spend your time, how you spend the resources that come to you. Okay, if you don't do that, your life is not going to improve, and then you'll be looking at God, and yet it's not God. Somebody told you it's God who is responsible for your finances, and yet it's not God. You had to wear the shirt. I put on this shirt myself. God did not put that shirt on me. People can use the same tool, which is good, to control us, so that they can take and extract a lot from us. And so for me, the last whatever years that they've been teaching us, especially when it comes to money, I think that a lot of them have been taught to the Africans to control them. That's why we continue to wallow in a lot of poverty and a lot of corruption, because it's either you stay poor or you have to lie to get the money. Okay, it's either you stay poor or you have to cheat to get the money. Let's face it. Very few people are wealthy genuinely doing some kind of business, doing something to get their own revenue. Why? Because the teachings on money, the teachings on how to get ahead in life, they have been wrong. They have been wrong. They have been wrong. So the most powerful in our community, they are what? They are the politicians, they are the pastors, and they are the businessmen who have access to politicians or pastors. But it's not like you're able to generate an idea, build on it gradually, be honest, be ethical, and grow your business, grow whatever you're doing to become rich. That is very much little. Very few people are committed to going through that. Why? Because the whole idea has been some supernatural power somewhere will make you explode one day. Just continue to bring your offering, bring your tithe, and everything else God will take care of it. And that has been an error, because we have not been critical in thinking. We have not been critical in thinking. And the advantage they have is that when you go to school, nobody tells us to be critical in thinking. When we go to school, nobody tells us to be critical in thinking. The course content develops us not to be critical. And then you come to the society, when you ask your mother questions, they say that don't ask questions, okay? And then when you go to church too, you can't ask questions because you're opening the Bible. So everything that they have told us, whether you have been to school or you have not been to school, is irrelevant, because they continue to do the same thing to whether they're educated or not they're educated. Whether they're educated or they are not educated, it doesn't matter, because they know that we don't ask questions. And once you're not asking questions, anything that they tell us, we will do, continue to do. And then we get to a point we become frustrated. So some of the benefits that you have to do in terms of critical thinking is that once you start to think like that, you start to learn new things. Okay, you start to learn new things. You start to look at things that were not working and say that this thing has been deceptive, or this thing has been a scam. Okay, and you start to get confidence in your skill to make the right decisions, because your life is a reflection of the decisions that you are making. Okay, so if your decisions have been wrong, your life will be frustrating. And if you're not critically examining the kind of information that comes to you, your decisions will be wrong. And if your decisions are wrong, your life will be frustrating. These are facts of life. A lot of it is not just a demon somewhere, like the way they have told us that if you don't tithe, your life will be tight, and if you don't bring offering to them, you will not be successful. Then that should apply to every human being. Okay, but you and I know that there are a lot of people who have a lot of finances, who are living their lives, who are very kind, who go to church, who are respectful, and who are enjoying more because they just apply the right principles. Okay, they just apply the right principles. But if any little boy, sometimes any young man, any young woman somewhere starts a church, this whole emphasis is what? Is bring your tithe, bring your offering, bring your tithe, bring your offering, bring your tithe, bring your offering. That's all they teach the people. So the people don't know anything when it comes to life, when it comes to finances, when it comes to doing something. And when they meet challenges, they cry, they weep, they are looking for a demon somewhere. That's why you can see people with a broom beating it on the ground, saying that they are crushing the devil. Or when you go anywhere, they miss something and give it to people to drink. Some people are praying over soap. Some people, they tell you that bring cocoa, they pray over it for you. Some people, they even tell them to carry cement. You know why it has come to this point? Because the people cannot think critically, and it's independent whether they have been to school or they're not. It doesn't matter whether they are lawyer, doctor, engineer. It doesn't matter. If they were brought up in this environment, the teachings, the words that the people have been exposed to, that is what they have been formed, and much of it have made us not to think critically. Because the moment you start to question, they say that you don't want to follow Christ, you don't want to follow God. And much of it is not Christ. Much of it is people who um, have had to live their lives by taking advantage of the people. So most of the people will live financially tight and struggling because they are always waiting for a miracle. And I don't think that you should live your life, your finances, you should not leave it to miracles and magic and lotto and the supernatural. You should have a plan for your finances. You should have a plan for your finances. And so it is easy for you to, when you start to use your mind and think critically, you don't just make conclusion just for conclusion's sake. You look at facts and you try to get a lot of analysis to see what if your decision that you're making is right, and you tend to look at things with different perspective. Okay, you start to get open mind and you consider the thoughts of others as well. You become a bit more humble, and sometimes you're a bit paranoid because of what people are saying. You want to be sure whether it's right or not. You don't just say that, oh, the man said that if I bring this I will go to America. He will pray for my passport and they'll give me the passport and I'll go to America. Go to America, no problem. But who told you that when you're there your finances will be different? So there's a lot of things that I think when you're born here you have to really be taught rightly, or you'll be disappointed when you get to your 50s, when you get to your 70s, and you see that you live all your life believing a lie, and you thought that you were you were serving God. So critical thinking is very much important. You need it. Sometimes we expect it from the people who have gone to school, but they disappoint us more than those who didn't even go to school. Okay, because you can see a pattern. This is not working, but we can ask. You can ask questions. You can ask questions at all. You can see there's a lot that you can see that this one is not working. Generally, as a country, you can see it's going to rain. It's going to rain, and we are in the rainy season. And this thing has happened over the last whatever years, and they continue to happen. The same places that the flood goes on, the same. And then when the people die, somebody will come and declare that God said something. Lack of critical thinking, because the facts are there that anytime it is going to rain and this volume comes up, it will flood. So what is it that you're doing to solve it before it comes up? So if you are thinking critically, if a nation thinks critically, their finances start to get better. If a nation thinks critically, they start to value their own people. If you see any family that thinks critically, looks for solutions, because critical thinking is really the ability to solve problems, the ability to look for information to solve problems. So if you see any family that thinks critically, you see that family starts to do better. If you see any young man, any young woman who is able to use his mind well, they're able to improve their lives, because it's the way life is. Because without the man who is more successful than you, it's not because somebody prayed for him, that's why he's more successful than you, like the way they have made us believe. The Chinese, who is praying for the Chinese? It's because they are thinking, they're analyzing issues. Some Chinese boy somewhere is sitting there calculating how he's going to push a lot of his product to Africa. He's thinking, so he's always calculating. Okay, every month I want to do 1,000 units to Ghana. I want to do 10,000 units to Nigeria. I have to go there and spend about 10 days there and look for off takers and look for maybe partners that I can do business with. The African, on the other hand, is in church praying for 8 hours for the same money that the Chinese is on the field creating. It's a critical thing, and it's condition. You know, he comes here, his products, he's moving them everywhere. And when he tells you that he wants to send you the product next week, give me 7 days, I will send you. By 2 days, the products are there. Now the other guy who is praying, he gives you 7 days, it will come in 2 months. So there are things that we ourselves are not looking at critically, and we think that we can progress in terms of finances, in terms of life, just because that somebody else told you that you pour some water or some oil on you. I don't see it that way. And I think that's why a lot of our people are delaying. A lot of people are going to be poor, continue to be poor, if nothing is done about this way of us looking at life in general. Somebody is sick. Instead of the person going to hospital, he will not go at all. And you go for somewhere that they will pour some medicine and give them to drink. The next time you see the person, there's some lungs is not working or the kidney is not working. The man that you're going to see, at least you should have some data on the medicine that he's giving. You should understand how the body works, even how they prepare the medicine. They should know. But a lot of our people, as Africans as we are, we still, that's how we process issues. So they just, we just sent him to the man, and the next minute the man was dead. What do you think? Do you know what the man used to prepare that medicine? Was it hygienic? Did he understand the history, the medical history of the man that you sent there? No. Oh no, he did it for our other friend and he worked. That's why we sent him. But you don't know the complexities of this new one that you sent. Then another person will come and say, but when you send them to the hospital, they die. Yes, but that's no excuse, because there has to be a data. There has to be some kind of, background, history that man that you say can give the medicine to should have and interpret it. But this man cannot read, cannot write. You say that, oh no, let's send them there. You get malaria, you just concoct anything and drink. The next time there's a problem in your system. It's the way we think. It's because we are not able to process a lot of information critically, because is either emotions or we process data superstitiously. We use a lot of superstition. And much of the superstition is not only with the Malams, or is not only with the Okomfo. Part of it is also in this so-called prophets and these guys who have come out recently. A lot of them are all over trying to call for magic and call for all kind of things. And people continue to go there because our people have little data to think critically. And that's a danger. And they say that, it's religion. Okay. It's religion, so we should leave it like that. That's why some people will go and pray so that Kosombo will be full for us to get water to get right. It's amazing. Once there's technology, there's science, there's engineering. You just have to do the things rightly. You rather think that there's a lot of things that technology can do that nobody's going to do for us. That's the fact. If we can get a lot of our hospitals built rightly, we can save a lot of lives than sending them to prayer camps. Those are facts. If you can have a better way of handling the accidents, a lot of lives can be saved. If you can look at how the places that we sell our food, if they are clean, a lot of lives can be saved. There's a lot that can be done to make life comfortable for the African than just trying to make everything destroy, and then we go and pray because the critical thinking is that little. And nobody succeeds. Even the Jew people in Israel, they, at least the Bible came from there, and they call God of Abraham. They are still very much technologically inclined, even though they pray. Look at their military, very strong. Their hospitals, They are using science, they are using technology, and we are looking for magic. Looking for magic. So my name is Kwabena. I am talking about the importance of critical thinking to your finances, to life in general, and into entrepreneurship. And if you're an entrepreneur, a lot of the times people will come to you and they will try to declare and say the future to you. You may want to listen to them, but they don't mean anything. You don't need anybody to declare any future to you. Just become better. Just do your things rightly. Just train. Just work more. Just put in more hours than the others are putting in. Just become honest. Become credible. Improve your skills. Those things, if you continuously do them well, you don't need magic. It will explode. Those are natural laws. Those are principles of life. You don't need to stop doing your business and go and call another person to come and pray for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Those are not important. Go to the Arabs. Go to all those guys that are running big businesses. Our little business, somebody will not let you sleep. They want to tell you that your grandmother does not want you to succeed. Your grandfather does not want you to succeed. Your auntie does not want you to succeed. That's why they have to declare 20 days. Those are all scam. Okay? They want money from you and you don't know it. They want to control you and you cannot even see it. So they come up with all kind of things. There's a lot that you can use your mind to make the right decisions. Because for me, the purest of Christianity is how you treat people, how honest you are, how kind you are. The fellowship you have with God. If you don't have those, if you don't express them, all the other things that you're saying that you're defending God, I really don't see them. Because for me, that's where it is. So if you really heard from God, we will see it in how honest you are, how credible you are, how kind you are to people, how respectful you are to people. Those are the things that if you followed Christ and his word, we will see in your life. Not somebody trying to declare some supernatural power and pour oil on you so that you get money or so you get some husband. Those things are all really, these are the Africans that are practicing this. It's not something that is global. It's only with the blacks because our understanding of Christianity has been wrong. And yet we think if anybody says anything against these things, we think that person is not of Christ. But if that approach has been right, we will not be where we are. We will not be where we are. Go to Nigeria and see. There's church everywhere. But try to do business with any Nigerian man and see. They will cheat you. They will choke you. It's not because they are bad people. It's the environment. So it's the understanding of money is that when you get it from somebody, choke him. Do anything that you can do to get the money from him. But he goes to church every day. That for me does not add up. So you go to Kenya, same. There's church everywhere. But the ethics, the honesty, the kindness, those that must be prevalent for us to know that yes, indeed, Christ has been here. Those are not there because all the people are looking for magic to get financial, increase or to get a husband or not to get an accident or some demonic attack should not come to them. So there's a problem. And all of it is because the people cannot think critically. Or we've been told that critical thinking is not of Christ. It's not true. Soundness of mind means critical thinking. It's not giving us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. So if you have a sound mind, you can deduce what somebody is teaching you. And over time, you can know that this thing is not true. This thing is not true. And we've been allowed to judge the teachings from people, no matter their title. Because after a while, you can see that the doctrine that has been taught is prevalent in the culture. And so that's why every young boy now wants to become a prophet. That's why every young boy now wants to sell anointing oil. Okay? Why? It's because the teaching over this one have been wrong. The teachings, they have been wrong. So the people cannot work patiently to progress their lives. People don't believe that they have to work diligently. Like the way entrepreneurship is difficult, you have to try a lot of things. A lot of them will not work. But if one works, it will wipe off all the tears. constantly, becoming diligent, persistent. Those things, do you hear them teach? Do you hear anybody teach those things? And is it common? No, it's because we are looking for miracles everywhere. Okay. Yet the people that we go to, the China that we go, to look for miracles, look for loan, they work. They work. They work. They work constantly. That's why they get results. But we will not work. We will just stay somewhere and go and pray 3 hours, 4 hours, 10 hours, and we become bitter. We are not honest. Try Christians will check and see, because the information that they have given us now is in error. It's in error, and it's pathetic. That's why anybody at all is now trying to take advantage of Africans. Anybody at all, just put some tie here and call yourself prophet, and put some speakers there, and just start to give a word of knowledge or something, and tell them that tomorrow this time this one will happen. Is it Christianity? Do you see that in the Bible? It's because the critical thinking has gone low. We have not valued it. So people don't work well. People are not diligent. People are not, they are not disciplined to handle their own finances. And if they are doing anything and there is any challenge, they run away. If there are any challenges, they run away. They run away. They run away. Why? Because they have told them that if you meet challenges, it's the devil. You have to go and declare fast. Then it will be easy. There's a lot of wrong teachings. And they are coming from people who never worked, who have picked the Bible and who are teaching people. So that's why there's a lot of emphasis on tithe, offering, bring money, and the people are poor. They still continue to take money from the people. And that's why I said that after a while, you start to ask questions, because the poverty of our continent is unacceptable, and the character of our people is unacceptable, and the hope of our people. They have to be hopeful in themselves, that I have what it takes to create the life that I want to create myself. And I should not be talked into fear when I start to do something with my life. I should not be talked into fear, because sometimes you get a call. Somebody's trying to tell you that he had a dream about you and you were going to get an answer. Where from all this? Where from all this? So they control our people with fear. And the moment anybody can control you with fear, your mind is not sound. You're not critical in thinking. You cannot be critical in thinking when they can control you with fear. So develop that skill, the critical thinking, if you want to succeed in this life. Especially in Africa, you must up that, because a lot of people will force you not to be critical in thinking. Get facts. I'm not saying that some supernatural thing cannot happen. They happen. But I'm not going to live my life waiting for the supernatural. No. I want to live my life building structures and systems that can predict the growth that I want. If I want to build a farm, I'm not going to pray for the farm to come. I want to go and build the farm and get the technology, get the skill to build a farm and harvest it well, sell and get the money. I'm not going to wait for God to give me money. Build. I'm not going to wait for the rains. I want to build the irrigation system. Because that's what He has given us, the power of the mind. It's critical and it's Christian. So if they told you that it's not Christian, that's why. Because if I can tell you that you don't have to use your mind, I can control you. I can control you no matter your education. I can control you. So my name is Kwabena. Critical thinking, if you undervalue it, there's a lot that you cannot do. I need to be responsible for the happiness that you have, the progress that you have in your life, the finances, even in your business is the same. If you cannot think critically, there's a lot of problems that you cannot solve. That's why when you're going for the contract, you are going to see the magic, the malam before you go for contract, or you are going to see your pastor for him to pray for the tender document before you go for contract. No. If your company is doing well, go. And if you go, why not? How would you not get? There are a lot of people who are building big businesses who are not going for anything like that. They just go. They build the business as they build it. But we We put a lot of things out of our control, out of our responsibility. And that's why we don't grow. That's why we don't grow. That's why we want to become a parliamentarian. Now you have to go for anointing order, for magic, for all this. Africa. And upon doing all this, we're still very much poor and very much backward as a people. Because there's something that we have missed, which is our ability to use the thinking to solve issues that are within our control. Those that are within God's control, they will be there. And God has not changed. So the moment we have all these troubles, it means that there's something that we are not doing rightly. And critical thinking is your commitment to use facts, logic, to making right decisions. If you can do that, there's a lot that you can cut out of the superstition, out of all these things, the magics that they are trying to push on us. And your finances, if you do your mathematics well, look at the whole year and see how do you spend the money that you make. And if somebody is telling you that if you don't pay this, you will never be rich, a lot of it is not true. Okay, richness is followed. They follow business. They follow productivity. There's no way that if you continue to build what you're doing, you will not succeed. It's nothing like that. You will succeed. So there's a lot of wrong thoughts that they have pushed on us that when you start to even ask them, people become fearful. People become afraid. Because that's all that we have heard all our lives. And so it's difficult for you to liberate yourself from a lot of this, because then somebody will just attack you. That, hey, it's Christ you follow. And if anybody has taught you anything that is not right, that's why you are not getting results. That's why you're constantly living in fear and panic, and you're living in hypocrisy. You're not real. You can't say your mind in front of certain people because your content is weak. Your content is weak. So if you want to succeed, those are the things that you work on. And it's never late for you to start to apply some of these things. It's never late, because the purity of your heart is the proof that you're serving Christ. It's not you going to pray for money in the church for 10 hours. Your love for God, your love for mankind, those are proof that you serve Christ. So thank you very much for watching.